Hey guys, this is Marcel, and let me know if you can hear me because I just got some news. Actually, I was just doing another live stream and now jumping onto this one, trying to discuss live that we have some news coming in here from NIO, which is unfortunately not so good news around. Well, I guess you guys have read it already about NIO announces the at-the-market offering of American depository shares. So that means dilution is coming in. NIO is offering new shares, and I think this time 2 billion roundabout, and at the current at-the-market offering, so at the current share price immediately. And saying here for further strengthening the balance sheet as well as for general corporate purposes. So how has the stock reacted? What we can see here, NIO closed above $40 here and is down roughly 4%. So it is down a little bit more than it actually should be, because I just did some quick maths, but with the shares outstanding and so on, it would roughly translate actually into a 3% dilution that this is meaning this time. And so NIO receives 2 billion in cash and offering new shares, so that meaning our shares or the shares of the shareholders are getting worth less by the amount that has been diluted, roughly translated actually. And so of course, as a shareholder, this is not good news. And to be honest here, that's my first take here, that there is not much information here on the purpose for this, right? So strengthen the balance sheet as well as for general corporate purposes. Doesn't tell us much what they're trying to do with it. Then, of course, we have the issue that, which is actually a good spot here for NIO, is that they are having more than $7 billion already on the balance sheet, right? So that's been one of the core strengths of NIO, actually, that they don't need to invest too much of cash into, for instance, building their own factories and stuff. And so $7.5 billion, I think that was it, around the last time, is actually quite comfortable cash cushion also in NIO's situation. But of course, you never know. New dilution was to be expected. I mentioned that I actually made countless dilution videos before. If you know this channel for a long time, it's not a first. If I remember correctly, the last dilution was around $39. So this time just slightly above it. And last time actually notably also was some convertible bonds, which the bondholders were actually agreeing that they would either convert it at a stock price of roughly $90 later on, or being paid back this amount. Anyways, that just so as a context. So for a company that is not that is still growing, that's not making profits yet, it is in a startup stage quite natural to have dilution to occur from time to time. But now, of course, the big issue or question is whether or not why is it happening right now, right? That would be the question that I'm also now trying to ask myself here on the go, just as I open this live stream here. Basically what I cannot explain exactly the timing here. From this reasoning here, it doesn't make sense, like strengthening the balance sheet. $7 billion in cash, I would say, is a strong balance sheet. They have a low debt ratio. And also for general corporate purposes, doesn't tell us like really where they want to invest it in or if there is any plan with it, right? But that doesn't have to be necessarily in such kind of a short statement here. I am expecting that we would possibly get more insight in what is the reason behind it, what they want to do with the money here. So let's speculate a little bit. One reason could be, okay, they have have been doing quite a bit of infrastructure rollout in terms of building lots of battery swap stations. And I think, if I remember it correctly, I was thinking that they announced, 4,000 battery swap stations in total. That this could possibly cost up to 1.7 billion US dollars, but over a very long time, right? So that would even exceed that amount. But of course, we still have the black box whether or not such swap stations might actually be even more expensive, or maybe it's even not the reason, right? That would be one option. The other option would be we have quite a bit of ramping going on in terms of new models that are expected that will be presented possibly at NIO Day. So we have a couple of new models that are being rumored, and there might be some stuff that they would want to invest in right now in order to prepare it, in combination also maybe with the globalization that may actually be well worth investing more into the team and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that might be an option, which wouldn't mean any news that we don't know already, but that maybe NIO feels is now the right time after kind of the stock has recovered a little bit after all of the big sell-off and so on. But then still, you could argue, right, why now? You could expect that towards the end of the year, the stock could even recover more. It recently has been also trading for some time higher than 50 US dollars again, right? So that would have been an option as well to dilute shareholders. So the timing certainly seems to be kind of unfortunate, or right now we can only guess, and that's kind of making it difficult to understand. But on the other hand, just a 3% dilution isn't actually a lot. The company will gain new cash that they can obviously spend somewhere, and that will be and that's to be expected to the benefit of the existing shareholders. And so you never know what's going on also in the background. Maybe there are new shareholders, significant shareholders coming in, and maybe they have also a say in where NIO's direction will go in the future and stuff like that, and might be kind of even telling NIO to do there might be even talks going on in the background in terms of like, we will be investing more and stuff like later if you do this dilution right now. That might be just a very speculative take here in terms of what the big players might be doing in the background, and because you've never the full transparency there, what management is actually talking with some of their shareholders and stakeholders there. And so that might be plausible because it's around the last dilution and offering the same amount. And but of course, from our retail investor background, you would rather argue that they should have waited till 50 US dollars or 60 US dollars if in case that we are retesting the all-time highs. But then in the end, still at that time, it would still be a 3%. More or less, maybe 2% dilution in the end, right? So I think in the long run, that doesn't matter too much. What I would like to see right now is a better explanation by NIO, by the management, of how they're thinking to spend the money. I'm sure there is, of course, many ways of spending it, and I think NIO has quite a few things of things ahead of it. And so the war chest to make that one even bigger is certainly a good idea from a management perspective. But it seemed to me like also like the 7 billion are already kind of a really good cushion. So yeah, I'm kind of not surprised that we have more dilution again. I also think There is still the open question how they're going to do like the Hong Kong Stock Exchange listing. Maybe if they're going to do that towards the end of the year, there might actually also be dilution. Such kind of a secondary can be done dilutive, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. And so, yeah, we will see how this pans out actually. Dilution always has to be expected, I would say. But now, obviously, what will they do with the money? That's the big question there. I see some comments here already speculating on what they could do with it. So, for instance, in-house chip production. Another speculation from my side would be maybe with the chip shortage that they are trying to shift a little bit away from the just-in-time delivery, which was one of the problems, not even on the chip side, but also one of the AB pillars, which they possibly want to buffer more and buy more in advance and stuff like that in order to have all of the stock ready for actually also ramping ET7. This company is growing at 100% year over year, so they cannot really, and that might actually be another speculation. There may be some of the shareholders or stakeholders were really not happy with the way they have been dealing with the chip shortage now and being more impacted than other companies. And maybe now, in response to that, are thinking about, kind of improving their supply chain there and spending the money on that side, knowing that the chip shortage is going to last a little bit longer, or the supply constraints, and thereby that gives them maybe ways of not being so much impacted if they can, for instance, purchase some of the materials in advance. That might be a creative way of thinking about what can be done with this money as well, and that would be also in line with the recent developments and with the timing, to be honest. A really bad take would be like NIO is thinking their stock price is too high, or that they see that they're running into trouble and that they need the money now, and because they think in the future they will not be able to tap into the markets anymore. But my first take, this sounds more like, almost a very bearish take here, that this is not too likely, to be honest. I recently just shown actually in our Patreon community a video of the president of NIO. Let me see if I can find it quickly. But he was speaking at the Wuhan opening of the NIO house here. Maybe I can play back that one quickly. I'm not sure if you can hear it right now. I was jumping on this call very spontaneously. But anyways, this was like an opening ceremony of one of the NIO houses, and what he basically said, the video is in Chinese anyways, and I quoted this here, is we know that some of you guys are worried about us because of the August numbers. We appreciate it, but don't have to be worried about it. This is just a short-term impact. It doesn't matter. They had strong orders, and also, explained again why all of this happened. But, you never know. Maybe they want to now strengthen their supply chain and using the money on this side in order to prepare. That would be actually my biggest guess, in order to prepare all of the production ramps that are coming with the ET7, possibly ET5, reamped models of the ES8 and so on, and possibly even a third model are being announced during NIO Day. So these are some things that may explain tapping into the markets just as of now, and spending it also very quickly. How many more dilution are they going to do? So I understand your disappointment there. But to be honest, I think, I don't have my business case here open right now, but I think I mentioned that there will be getting more than, I think, 5 to 10 billion in total until they're gonna break fully even on an annual basis, in my personal expectations of how I see the business developing, how much money they will need in order to break even until the business is fully profitable and all in that. So I think that's just a normal process. And to be honest, 3% is not much more. Video's back. Awesome. Oh man. You know, I'm having one of those new Apple M1 MacBooks and I'm using OBS here to stream, and I've never used this software before, so a little hiccup. Sorry about that. I'm glad that I managed to jump back onto this live stream here, and seems like those new Apple MacBooks are not really perfect yet in a way to work in. Anyways, maybe I talked a lot now, maybe some time to take some of your questions, and let's see what you guys have some ideas about all of this dilution. Someone is saying it could be the shares which they already own. Terence, can you elaborate on that? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I mean, the way the market reacted, it's looking dilutive to me. I also looked at, maybe I can look into that one here. Fintel is, yeah, there's always also sometimes this registration fee of ADRs. So here that one is also the 2 billion, and it might be just this registration fee, but now the fact that NIO is putting out this statement here, the news release, tells me that this is an offering, this is an at-the-market offering. So I think that is dilutive. We'll be receiving 2 billion, yeah. So maybe if you can point me to some other fact that is saying that it's not dilutive, but that's my current assumption. Devin is asking if there's a date when this will be completed. No, I think maybe that has already happened straight in the market, because it's an at-the-market offering. Because usually if they announce the offering, you will see a prospect, and then also first they announce the pricing, and then at some point a closing. And I'm not sure if this is just going through it straight. Unfortunately, there's not so much information that I can dive into here other than this one, the Form 42 4B5. What is this? So they're registering shares. Yeah, there's nothing else that I can see from this one here. Sorry about that. I think I saw somewhere that this is according to some sort of an agreement that they can tap into such kind of an offering here. I didn't read through all of the small print here before jumping on this live stream, but yeah, I would say there is dilution. It's 2 billion which they're getting, and that's roughly translating to 3%. What else? You guys got any crazy speculation on how this could be used and why they're doing it? Most importantly, why they're doing it now. What are your takes? I can see that most of you guys are disappointed. I mean, that's natural. Of course, we don't want to see our stock going down. But if you're in for the long term, that's usually my take. And given the fact that this is just 3%, yeah, I would rather only criticize the fact that they are not waiting a little bit longer with it in order to get it at a better deal. But then, you know, if it's 1% or 3%, what is the difference, right? They want the money. So for me, it's more important now what they're going to do with the money. That is my big question. Expansion into Germany, yeah, that's surely coming. That is 100% in the books, and only a matter of time. Maybe they were going to be listed in Hong Kong and they need more shares. Maybe they were going to be... Okay. Yeah, that's going actually a bit too far off my personal knowledge, like how this listing in Hong Kong can actually be done operationally. There might be a way, of course, the question is where are those shares coming from? And I haven't looked too closely in how, for instance, Xpeng has performed their listing. I just know that there are different ways of doing it. Some are dilutive, some are not. And yeah, it might be connected to that. I cannot rule this one out. But then they could have said so also in the description. On the other hand, there might be something which prevents them of stating that they're gonna list in Hong Kong for sure. You know, all of these things are done by lawyers and it's really complex with all the SEC rules and such. So sometimes we don't want to read too much into all of this. Expansion into Guangzhou Evergrande. No, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna tap into Evergrande. Which is, by the way, having a hard time, the whole group today. Somebody else is saying that Seeking Alpha said it's not dilution, rather just selling the shares. Okay. Marcus Cleverman here. Do you expect the company to reveal the purpose of the offering? Yes, I 100% would say that there will be some sort of an announcement, maybe not immediately, but in some sort of a management call, either through analysts or the next earnings call and stuff like that, where they will surely talk about stuff like that. But we're still trying to figure out whether or not that is actually a dilutive offering, which I'm still at the current point in time am in the views that this is also in the way the market is reacting. I mean, the markets wouldn't be selling that one off if it's just registering some ADS. It may be this ADS fee though, but now at least the market is pricing it correctly. It's minus 3%. Before that, it was even down further. So good to see that one. Yeah, Jeremy, you're making a good point here that in case NIO is going lower from here, that would certainly also make some of the weak hands become more frightened about their positions and possibly selling off. But once again, for now, you know, the company has received 2 billion. They can spend it. I rather want to see them spend it well. So that's my biggest concern here right now. Okay, more people are saying like Zhong Liu, the share was registered last year. It's not dilution. More and more people are pointing towards this. As we're making sense of this. If there would be more context to it. today announced that it has filed a prospective supplement to sell up to an aggregate of, okay. Okay, maybe this sounds a little bit like they are, the prospectus is this document which they're usually announcing when they are, as I mentioned before, when they are creating such an offering. And a supplement sounds like they are now adding some kind of new paragraphs into that, like kind of this new addition of an aggregate 2 billion additionally. So maybe that one is connected to one of the previous offerings, but that again might be just an easier legal way of doing that. Maybe also that allows them to make it at the market offering right now. So yeah, I mean, the fact that the market is selling that one off by -3% tells me that it is dilutive. Creating a new facility in Europe is another idea. I think it's unlikely that they will create their own factory from now. I think that has been the model, and also maybe, again, why it is a bit surprising to see them tapping more into cash, because currently, I mean, like the last quarter, and I mentioned that one, the numbers were pretty good. It's pretty damn close to showing the first profitable quarter even. Of course, NIO will need more money. They will burn more money. And of course, globalization will cost a lot of money. We don't know yet, like, to the extent of how much the swap stations will really cost. But I mean, they started scaling the swap stations also a couple of quarters before. So we would have seen, like, if these costs would be very excessive in my views. So for me, it's rather forward-looking that they have maybe some bigger plans there. Maybe, they just announced, like, in one day they built 27 swap stations. Maybe they're like now really going all in and building the heck out of as many as they can right now, and even trying to place them in Europe, because frankly, that was also some of the feedback which they've gotten in the speech that I've mentioned here before by NIO, that they mentioned, like, that the feedback that they're getting from the market right now in Norway is like, great product, really cool. The only problem that we can see is that you're coming too late. You should have been earlier. And maybe NIO is realizing that now, that there's also kind of a window in time, an opportunity open, where the legacy auto manufacturers, they're still only bringing out the concept cars. They have no product which they can scale. We can see in China that NIO is outselling BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, all of them in the electric vehicle sales combined, right? And so why now is the time to really ramp and kind of win market shares? And so, yeah, I mean, it would make sense to do it earlier than later, and not minding maybe where is the stock price right now. In a way, that could be something where I would say that would make sense. It would be actually quite bullish if that is the case. And then, yeah, quickly, that could also be a risky move in the end, now spending a lot and kind of trying to be really aggressive about both the market and the infrastructure. And that could also result that into, maybe the markets wouldn't like it, because the company would not break even too soonish. And maybe the cash cushion will get a bit reduced. And because of that, rather getting more cash now than later might be an idea. So Brent is commenting, we've been through this so many times now. What's another share offering but a great chance to buy the dip? Yeah, it makes me smile because, I quite remember The last couple of weeks and months have just been all about clearing out the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt about Chinese stocks, about delisting and all of that. And it seems like once this has been calming down, finally, now there's a new thing once again, dilution. And oh man, I've been doing so many videos on this before. If you're watching this channel or if you're investing in NIO since a longer time already, you will know. Okay, guys, bring on more questions. I'm here to answer them for you guys. Yeah, another good comment here. You're all wrong, like always. -3% is good news. Yeah, I'm also making the joke that anything better than -3% is actually green for NIO, because NIO is still such a volatile stock that -3% actually it's just a normal trading day. -3% up or -3% down doesn't really get me going when I think about NIO. It's more like trading like Ethereum or Bitcoin, if you see what this one is doing today in the market. Germany, Robotaxi, yes, we have news that Intel Mobileye is launching Robotaxis in Munich, making use of the newer legislation in Germany for autonomous driving on German roads, which is the first country to make this fully legal. And Mobileye coming in and showing some pictures which show a NIO ES8 on top. So that's good news, but that's nothing which we didn't know before. So just an announcement, because right now it's also the automotive event in Munich. Does NIO receive royalties from battery swap tech? Yes, it will, Gustavo. Pretty sure about that, because NIO, boy, have they patented it, both in China as well as even in the US. And in China, they even developed an industry standard, and we now see companies like JAC, which is interesting because they actually developed a really fast charging mechanism. They are now thinking also about adopting battery swapping. So who knows how this is related, this offering, to battery swapping. We don't know. But yes, in my point of view, it will create billions in revenues for NIO just from royalty basis there. We need more bad news in order to make the stock go up. I agree. Bad news is what drives NIO stock. Yeah, so funny to see NIO going up on really not as good as expected August numbers, but I'm still browsing through some of your questions here. What are other wicked speculations what they could do with this money? 2 billion. I mean, of course, they're not spending this just for general for general corporate purposes. That would be, I mean, that's not the purpose for it. I can say that 100%. Maybe they've got something up and going which we don't know yet and which we shouldn't know yet. Maybe they're gonna talk more about that on NIO Day. Yep, exactly. Every week we have a different issue. Delisting, chip shortage, accidents, dilution. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And yeah, it's not easy, particularly with NIO, but hold strong. That's what I'm doing still. I could cash out. I've had my gains, but I'm still holding. I think there is still a very big picture to this. And I mean, the institutions have been loading up on NIO. It's one of the most loaded up stocks out there in the rankings. I can maybe show you this one here. So I have Fintel open. And then I'm going here to institutional owners. Let's look at the NIO number today. Here, this is ownership accumulation score, which is at 92.91. And that's number 1,000 out of more than 20,000 companies ranking in there. So institutions are really loading up on this stock and buying it, and more institutions are getting in there. And you can always say, sure, they know something, but that's what my comment was about before. Who knows, like, who's saying, like, get me this stock ready and do your dilution before I'm also buying the shares. You'll never know. You know, BlackRock is doing stuff now, allocating much more money to China. I had the news today that Soros, and the big investor, is actually not happy about that. So that's like the war between the giants here. George Soros criticizes BlackRock over the China expansion, because BlackRock basically was saying buy the dip in the Chinese shares, and also we need to have more allocation in China because it's not a developed country anymore, and yeah, lots of reasons why to invest there. And Soros, he's really against it, and you know, that's the real big money. You will never know what they are going to be talking in the backgrounds, and who's got to have a say on what price they can get and buy into the stock. So all I know is that NIO is fundamentally a brilliant company, and so far I haven't seen anything that is making me want to sell my shares. I will tell you the minute that I'm selling my shares, but I as I mentioned, always here on the channel, I'm having this very long-term view on this investment, and it sure is not over here. Take a deeper look into my NIO business case if that's interesting for you, where I think this stock will be going. All right, that's it. No more speculation from your side, no more questions, or do you have some more things that you'd like to ask me? Otherwise, I'll call it a live stream, and I'm happy that despite my computer restarting, I was happy to jump on it once again. Yeah, all I can say is that I really want to have more transparency there, buy NIO directly at some point in time, and knowing more about what are the real plans behind it. As I mentioned before, there might be reasons why they cannot simply state them in such a news. For instance, might have to do with the Hong Kong stock listing, might have to do with an unannounced product or something that they want to scale into, which maybe the competitors shouldn't know about. So you don't want to reveal that in an announcement here, do you? But in the end, of course, I agree with your takes that this kind of was unexpected in terms of the timing and in terms of, well, they have lots of cash. Why are they doing it? So lots of speculation. Yeah, price predictions. I know you guys always want price predictions. I won't give like a certain price target. All I'm saying, like, and I said this already after the Q2 earnings, that I was expecting that NIO wouldn't fall into the low 30s. So far, that hasn't happened. And I'm expecting NIO to rise towards the end of the year. That's my general direction into NIO Day. I think we will be heading towards retesting the all-time highs of going into this year. So that would be around 60, 65. But that's not my price target for now. Right? I only give long-term price targets in terms of 5 years, 10 years out. And if you're interested in that, consider become one of my patrons. The link is down in the description, where you will find, I think that's a 2-hour discussion of the business case and the valuation potential and stuff. And I will surely make more videos about that when it's the right point in time. All right, once again, last comments if I find anything interesting. Seeing some familiar faces and commentators here. It's so awesome that you guys are always keep on watching here on the channel and supporting it. I'm really happy about that. Yeah, so all we can say, sorry, I have no more information than what you have also here on the screen, but I tried to make sense of it, gave you some speculative thoughts around it, basically telling you that 3% isn't too much, but yes, I agree, it doesn't feel right. It's odd timing, it's not a nice explanation. It could be having a negative twist if things escalate, but I think and I hope it won't go there. So I'm personally not too preoccupied with this. So gonna close the live stream here when I find the button, and just thank you guys once again for watching. I appreciate all of your views and the comments, and of course the likes if you leave them. But I'm also loving the haters, and I know they come out whenever there's negative news, but sometimes negative news helps NIO go up. So thank you guys for watching again. Almost 1 hour live stream.